when I heard about this story, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And then when I got the link to read about it, I just sat there and shook my head and said, wait a minute, this can't be real. And I get, where a lot of fans are coming from. I understand why people feel the way that they do, especially when it comes to their sports figures. I mean, a lot of individuals, they love some of these sports figures more than they love themselves. And in this instance, this story here has just taken on a life of its own that really doesn't make much sense. But as you weave through all of the different situations that's going on here, there's a lot to really unpack with this thing, because I didn't know that there were certain things that could have possibly went on in the background that would really make you think like, dang, could this really have happened? Could this have really went this way? And we could have seen a change that could have really took place where it would have been beneficial to Shedeur Sanders had he made this move instead. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. So I want y'all to make sure y'all got your cookies, your sweets, whatever it is that you need to get yourself comfortable to sit down and watch another episode of Blow the Whistle with your favorite coach, Coach Walker, on the Tomorrow Leader Sports Network platform. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tune in, tap in, tell a friend. Y'all know the routine. Tell them to come on in. Make sure y'all get yourselves together so we can go ahead and talk about this thing. Be perfectly clear. On Blow the Whistle with your favorite coach, Coach Walker, this is where we talk about everything. On Tomorrow Leader Sports Network, we talk about HBCU stuff over there. But here, we get to talk about whatever the heck it is we want to talk about, just have us a good old time. So I want to make sure y'all comfortable and ready to go, because we're going to pack this craziness that's going on here, because I'm really trying to understand the reason behind why all of this is going on. And I get it. I really get it, because when you look at Shedeur Sanders and what he's been able to accomplish over the past 2 seasons while at the University of Colorado. I mean, this man had completion percentage was like 74% completion percentage. He threw for over 4,000 yards last season. They went 9-4, first winning season since 2000, was it 16, something like that. So he had the program moving in the right direction. And Coach Prime, his father / head football coach, had many people looking at Shedeur as a top 5 draft pick, and that didn't happen. So now here we are. The draft is over with. He got drafted in the 5th round, 144th pick to the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm sure everyone by now understands the story as far as everything going on with the whole Eli business and all of that. I talked about that in a previous show, where Eli had a manager. He had somebody representing him, and, had him situated to the point where everything that's going to be thrown his way, he understood what was going on, and he was able to navigate those waters without it being a problem. I do understand that there's a lot of folks out here that want to make this a color thing. They want to make it a black or white thing. I understand that also. But we got to be honest with one another here and get to the realization of accountability. And it seems like this gentleman that's so furious right now about how everything took place, and he's not understanding how in the world Shedeur Sanders had this big free fall in the draft, going from a top 5 draft pick to the 144th pick in the draft, getting picked in the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns. I mean, it has this man just losing his mind. And it's someone that's locally here in Atlanta, Georgia, who didn't want to put his name to this thing. He called himself John Doe, something like that. I'm like, John, don't be a doe. Just bring your behind out to the forefront and tell everybody what's really going on. I mean, you don't have to hide behind the lawsuit that you filed, but there's some things that I found within that lawsuit that were pretty daggone intriguing that I got to talk about it, because, I mean, let's be real here. Now, thinking back to the draft itself, Shedeur Sanders didn't have anybody representing him. So I'm wondering, could he possibly consider wanting to go back to school? Go back to Colorado, play another year. Now, that wouldn't have been, looking at this article that I saw over at Athlon Sports, it wouldn't have been a good look for him to go back to Colorado, because Coach Sanders already brought in 2 quarterbacks, the quarterback from Liberty University, as well as 5-star recruit Juju from Carrollton High School. Brought them into the program for them to go ahead and take over leading the Buffaloes program. Now, it's funny how all of this played out, because, everybody, when it comes to wanting to sue folks, people kind of chomp at the bit where they really want to get out there and do some things. They want to get that work. They want to give somebody some crazy work. And I'm thinking in this instance, Jeffrey Kessler, he reported that he had interest in launching a legal battle against the NCAA. Now we already know the NCAA they can't handle to take no more daggone criticism, lawsuits, anything like that being thrown their way, because they got enough to deal with as it is with this whole NIL issue. Which now we're hearing that Nick Saban has talked to the current sitting president about this thing, and he's looking to stir up some things with the whole NIL bit. So we're gonna see how this is gonna turn out. But it would have been interesting to see what Attorney Kessler would have been able to do with this, because right now he's currently representing teams in the lawsuit against NASCAR alleging antitrust violations. So his interest in Shedeur Sanders going back to Colorado, oh, that would have been monumental. That would have been something for people to really sink their teeth in, to really discuss and talk about, as far as, what kind of sense does it make for him to go back. Now, again, as I stated before, Sanders had the highest completion rate in college football history. And Coach Prime, he doesn't waver away from letting everybody know that, as far as what his son was able to accomplish out there on the football field over the past 2 seasons playing for the University of Colorado. But one thing you got to understand is this: the completion rates was on point, but there's some things that individuals are looking at a little bit differently when it comes to, getting a real understanding of the quarterback that they're bringing into play for their program. Shedeur Sanders on one instance where there's been several reports where they stated that they were not really able to, meaning scouts were not able to get a true evaluation on Shedeur Sanders, because again, Coach Prime ain't gonna give no negative feedback on his son. What father do you know in their right mind gonna give a negative feedback on their son? I mean, heck, that's just like when everybody got upset with LeBron James saying that Bronny James is better than half of the cats in the NBA playing basketball right now. And look how that went. That just went up in smoke. Coach Prime just said, hey, you know what? We're gonna put the velvet rope up right here. We ain't let y'all come past this rope. Y'all get up to the rope. Whatever y'all can see, y'all can see. Whatever you can't see, keep pushing, because it is what it is. And one thing that, a lot of folks got upset with Pittsburgh. As far as Pittsburgh right now, they got one quarterback over there. They're waiting to see what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. And they didn't understand why Pittsburgh didn't pick up Shedeur Sanders after they said that they had a great interview with him. And Coach Tomlin even said that, the intangibles of this young man out there on the field playing, it really serves to his competitive nature for him to do all of the things that's necessary for him to lead a team and win. However, there's teams out there that look at the unmentionables. You get what I'm saying? As far as what things can they expect from the quarterback? How is the quarterback going to react when certain things happen in this manner? Coach Ball, the head football coach of the New York Giants, he gave Shedeur Sanders an offensive play install, in which he got that install. And when they went through the install, he didn't find the things that was wrong with the play that they gave him. That turned into a big thing. That was, one of the deciding factors on why they did not pick him instead of them going with Dart. Again, people got to understand one thing. Yes, they look at everything that's happening out there on the field to justify what the athletes are doing. But there's one key ingredient that everybody fails to understand, and that is this. The days of playing football where you just put men on the field and you line them up, and whatever plays you call, you run the plays, and whatever happens, happens. But now that we have this thing called math that has been injected into the game of football, analytics, for those that don't quite understand where I'm going with the whole math piece, analytics have been injected into the sport where it gives coaches an easier way for them to coach their teams. Well, hey, 60% of the time, say, on 4th and 2, you should go for it. Well, 90% of the time on 4th and inches, you should go for it on your side of the 50. I mean, those type of things that happen out here. This is how coaches are coaching teams nowadays. And a lot of knowing what your team is capable of doing, and them having that grit, that bite, that dog in them for them to get out there and get those extra yards that's needed for your team to continue to keep moving the ball down the field to get that first down. That is out of the game now. It's no longer any of that. It's what does the statistics say in this instance? And if the statistics is in your favor, then they're gonna go for it. But that is not that's something that many of us don't pay close attention to. Again, I understand where everybody, how everyone is feeling as far as, hey man, Shedeur, he shouldn't have failed in the manner which he did. And you know what? I can totally agree with that. I was not expecting to see this young man go in the 5th round. I mean, I'll be totally honest with you. I sat back, I was watching the draft with my wife. We sat there and watched it for 3 days, and I'm sitting there saying, like, babe, you know what? If somebody don't pick him up on day 2, he's gonna fall day 3. If he falls day 3, a lot of those players that are on the Colorado Buffalo team, if he falls late on day 3, a lot of them kids ain't gonna get drafted. Guess what happened? The only person got drafted after Shedeur Sanders was Jimmy Horn Jr., who went to the Carolina Panthers. This is something that I'm sitting there, I'm looking at all of this like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Then you have the question about his arm strength, and people want to compare him to different quarterbacks and things of that nature. When this young man, when Shedeur Sanders was compared to Tim Tebow, I threw my hands up and said, you know what? This here is getting a little bit out of control. And the reason why I say that, because when you talk about arm strength, I'm like, Shedeur Sanders is able to see the field, get the ball down the field to his receivers. Now, people are saying that he likes to see his receivers open, meaning that him trying to fit that ball through a window is not something that that has been rarely seen. And again, we're about to find out a lot, because now you have minicamp ready to start, and the all of the different narratives and all of the different stories are going to start rolling out of camp, letting everybody know what's going on. Funny thing is, this whole jersey situation that's going on. They gave the jersey numbers out today. Shedeur Sanders did not get number 2. That one blew me away for sure, because I'm like, okay, who the heck got number 2? Well, number 2 went to who is it? DeAndre Carter, who, he's a journeyman. He's been in the league since, I want to say, 2018. I mean, he's bounced around from multiple teams like every other year. He ends up, he's with one team in the beginning, and he might end up somewhere else, so on and so forth. So Sanders might end up getting his jersey, in the end, when the smoke clears, when the dust clears, he might end up getting his jersey number. So right now, his practice number right now is 12, which is none other than the number that Tom Brady had when he was out there playing ball for the New England Patriots, as well as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's his mentor. So I don't see anything really wrong with that. But, and I'm sure a lot of people out there, they're going to have a serious problem with the fact that Shedeur Sanders does not have 2. He got 12 instead. But you got to understand, look at the numbers, though. If you got 12, you still flip that thing around, guess what? That's 21. That's his pop's old number when he's playing. When he played throughout professional football until he went to, I want to say, the Baltimore Ravens. I think he ended up with 37 at that time. All in all, looking at everything that took place, during this process, I'm like, why the guy want to sue the NFL for distress over where Shedeur Sanders fell in the draft? My question is, why didn't you sue the NFL for the prank call? I mean, how in the heck are you going to sue the NFL for distress to you when you weren't the one getting drafted? Shedeur Sanders was. And not only that, but what about the other young man, Isaiah Bond from the University of Texas? He's the other kid that got prank called that day, along with several others that went to other teams during that draft day situation. So the question remains, who actually got them phone numbers to call these athletes? Because, I mean, that's a little bit suspect there for all of these players to get prank called during the draft in the manner in which they did. So that's something that needs to be looked into as well, because I've never heard of anything like that happening before in the past, where people, this amount of athletes that are looking to get drafted to the NFL was getting prank called during the draft. I'm like, that's some wicked, that's dirty business, man. But all in all, I'll say this. As far as I want to go back to one thing. I didn't touch this topic. I want to touch it again. The install that Coach DeBall gave from the New York Giants to Shedeur Sanders, as far as the offensive play that he didn't catch the errors. DeBall has been doing this. Is it DeBall? I apologize if I butchered the man's name. Forgive me. But I'm going to say Coach DeBall, he been giving these installs to quarterbacks for some time now. He gave it to Josh Allen when he was over at for the Buffalo Bills. He gave it to Tua Tagovailoa, as well as Jalen Hurts at the University of Alabama when he was coaching them. So look at it from this standpoint. If you got a coach that's been able to, that has been able to polish up quarterbacks for them to get out there and really play some good ball, in college as well as in the pros, this man obviously knows something that's going on as far as what to expect out there on the field. I'm sure I'm sure Shedeur Sanders is going to have everything under control as far as what he's looking to do, as far as when minicamp begins. Like I said before, this young man is a competitor. People are thinking that, because he's had the red carpet rolled out for him for so long, he's not going to really get out there and compete. That young man's going to get out there and show everybody what time it is and what exactly he can do. Matter of fact, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, tapping in, telling a friend to come on in and check out what's going on over here on Tomorrowland Sports Network platform. I appreciate you all. Thank you all for watching the shows. Matter of fact, if you haven't done so, make sure that you hit that post notification bell so you can click that thing to all so you get all shows. Because I'm thinking some of you guys are not getting the shows that I'm putting out to you guys. I don't know if YouTube to make some changes or not, but I'm just trying to make sure everybody gets the shows as I drop them. But and then again, it could be something that just might not interest you guys. I don't know. I'm running my own test on this thing to see how this thing really goes. Again, I hope this young man, everything comes into play for him as far as him getting his jersey number. And then again, that 12, 2 might not even, I'm sure 2 means something to him, but I'm sure he probably like, hey, you know what? They only give me 2. Cool, I'll take 12. That ain't doing it but lighting a bigger fire underneath that man's behind for him to get out there and really show up and show out. So go ahead and get it and knock it out the park. But I will say this in closing. We're going to see a lot of names that's going to appear as far as athletes that, here today, go tomorrow on these teams. I hope these young men get out there, put their best foot forward, especially in minicamp. I hate to see you get cut when they just putting y'all out there in T-shirts and shorts. I mean, that don't make no sense. But I honestly believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to go out there. He's going to lock in, get everything together, be ready to go. And hopefully, like I stated before, week 3 or 4, he's that guy. And I kind of feel like the Cleveland Browns is kind of trying to keep things under wrap just a little bit so that they can slow down all of the chaos that comes with, comes with the Sanders family as far as, people want to talk about them as people start trying to impose their will on on everybody to move a particular way. It's all about fun and having a good time. But guys, Coach gonna go ahead and get about this thing. I done talked about this long enough. But until next time, y'all know what time it is. Be the one and lead. We out. Peace.